Okay. All right. Hi everyone.
Hi.
In the interest of time, because I'm seeing we don't have the holiday, and I'm sure tomorrow most of us will be going back to work. So I think we should just get started, and then the rest will join us as we proceed. Thank you so much for joining us at this time. I'm so glad to have you. For most of you, we have interacted in one way or another throughout 2024. I'm so glad to see Camila. I'm glad to see Jessica. I'm glad to see Sylvia. And we also have Judy, who has just joined us. So, welcome to this session. This is going to be a very interactive session, and I'm hoping that you will learn one or two from either of us or from any speaker who will join us or who will speak today, so that we can kick off 2025 at a much higher note than the way we are ending 2024. So, hopefully, I'm hoping that you've had quite an amazing year getting started. I mean, ending the year. So, just to give you a quick background or brief about this event, this is a course, an event, a catch up, a retreat. You call it whatever you'd wish to call it. So I was thinking about the name Empowerher. Will it be too much? Will it be too too common, too obvious? And I just thought to myself, what better way to make it seem woman-like than to make it to add a her to the empower. So I'm sure you're already having that notion that it's going to be a monologue where I just dump all my thoughts on you, and that's not the case really. So I'm hoping that we chime in from time to time, give our contribution, and see how 2024 has been. What are some of the lessons we've learned, and what are some of the wins that we believe if we replicate in the next year, we'll kind of just go a step ahead in the right direction. So the maybe I can just get started with the slides. So just to give you an introduction to Empower Her, this is a session, a program, a retreat that is meant to help women in terms of getting the final motivation, reminding you that you have actually outdone yourself, and then also learn a few things from each other. So initially, my plan was for having entrepreneurs or those in business to join us. Then I just remembered, whether you're in business, whether you're currently employed, because I'm sure most of us are jiggling between employment and some side hustle, you'd call it that, freelancing business. So we're just getting started into it, and I'm sure that's the kind of audience we are having today. So this is just a platform to unwind and to learn a few things as we get into the new year. So this is a first of Empower Her. We're hoping that next year it will be more. I'd wish it would even be personal, so that we meet in person and just laugh and have a good time. So, through this program, we will explore key pillars that define a successful or a sustainable or an impactful business or venture. Each topic is crafted to help you unlock your potential and create a lasting legacy in your industry. So, while we're young, yes, but we still have a voice. Most of us, I know, you've heard of today. If you're in Kenya, you've heard of the maandamano, or would I call them protests for those who don't understand. Uh, we've had protests going on, and these are spearheaded by young people. This just goes to say that we are young, but we have value, we have a voice, and we just can't continue to sit and watch. So, how then can we replicate that even in our businesses or in our careers? So, that's what we're going to look at today. So, just to give you a bit of a background, Empowerher is born from DPR. DPR agency is a communication and strategy firm that we deal with a few things. Let me just mention them before we get started into the discussion. So we have brand management. We deal with supporting leaders, individuals, organizations, so that they can position themselves as the brand for to offer the obvious solutions that they offer. Then we also do program or project management. That is just within the communication space where we spearhead communication throughout a program or a project. And then the final one is training and capacity building, like the one we're having today. So these are just some of the things that we do. So we train individuals, organizations on effective communication, effective program management or program coordination, and also brand management. So that's what DPR does. And one of it is now Empower Her, which has just been launched this year. And we're hoping to have it better, bigger, and to reach more people in the coming years. So that is the plan. So maybe I can just give you a quick a summary of what we've been doing since. These are some of the organizations that we were privileged to work with throughout the year uh, in different capacities. So we're grateful that even if we're just 1 year and some months into business, we have been able to work with exceptional brands that is either through subcontracting or getting the project directly. So these are some of the things that we've managed to do, also in partnership with other organizations or other companies and even other individuals who are also in the business of communication and public relations and media. So these are some of the companies or organizations that we have been privileged to serve in 2024, in 2023, in 2022. So let's go back to Empower Her. So Empowerher is just going to be one of these clients also because we consider it as an independent entity to what we do as DPR. So maybe just to give you a quick background of myself, my name is Diana Doreen. I founded DPR agency in 2023. I also managed to get my certificate. Initially, I used to just call myself a strategic brand manager, but then I got an opportunity to be certified as a global certified strategic manager. So that was a plus for me. So now I have a license to actually practice strategic management and even do the actual work that I have previously indicated. So I want to go further to introduce the program. I think you have the main idea of what we're going to look at today. So today we're just going to focus on some of the basics, I would say, and then if you'd wish then to proceed with getting more information on what we're going to look at today, you'll feel free to reach out or just engage after the discussion. So some of the topics that we're going to cover are finding your product or service, and I would also put a slash there to finding your niche for those who are in employment. Then we're going to look at building a creative sales funnel. Then that is also a niche. That's also a slash too. Uh, Building an effective personal brand for those who are in employment. Then we have leadership and building a great culture that applies for all of us. Then we have building a community around your business, that is building a community around your personal brand. We are happy to be joined by one lady who's really good at building a community. She'll give us some insights into that. And then finally, we'll look at how to sell a product or service, then slash how to sell yourself. So Just to get started, we're going to look at finding your product or service. So, these are some of the key insights when you're still thinking about it. And just to give you a disclaimer, I'll be using most of my examples, my experience, just so I can put everything into context. So while we get into the discussions and Q&A, we'll also have an opportunity to say introduce yourself or just to comment or share what you feel is your story or what you feel is going to be impactful in this session. So some of the key insights I would say back in 2022 when I was still working as an intern, I there were certain things that I was really thinking about because I have a background in public relations and communication, public relations and advertising. So one of the jobs that I got immediately after school was doing PR work, basically public relations and communication, at one of the best organizations in the country. So that really opened me up to what is possible, like what is possible within the communication and PR space, and then how organizations can move from just a small entity to finally being a corporate, renowned and reputable organization. So those are some of them. That was, I would say, one of my one of the key benefits I gained from that is getting exposed to what the best of the best would look like in terms of systems, people, processes, and projects. So from there, I always had that in mind that I would one day eventually start something, even if it would be maybe 10 years from then. I knew that one day I would start something. So there are certain things that I was really keen on looking at because I wanted to also replicate the same in my organization and also in the organizations that I serve. So one of the key insights you ask is you identify a need in the society. For those who, so how do you find your product or service? So there are those who are fortunate enough, like me, who would decide to proceed with having just your what you've studied or your background and decide to go ahead and do something within that space. But then there are those who decide to actually take a completely different trajectory and decide to, get a product fresh from, the market, just identifying a problem in the market and getting started. So the thing is, in either way, you need to know that you need to find an actual need or a problem. There's no point in developing something that already exists or is already saturated, but let's still look into that a bit. Then, being of service to others. The second thing is, once you have identified a problem, the most basic or the most important thing is to know that you're now getting into the business of serving people. So the more people you serve, the more money you're going to get. So that's how it works. Then offer value. So you've identified a need, you have you've known that you can actually service this group of people, then you work on building or crafting the value proposition or what you consider will be valuable that will make someone give you their hard earned cash in return for your service or your product. So you need to evaluate and see what is already in the market and what then can you add on top. Then finally, do I want to play this game long term? So this is where now you ask yourself, do I want to sell, say, if I'm starting an oil company, do I want to do oils for the rest of my life? Or do I want, in 5 years, will this matter? Or if I'm starting, say, fitness organization, do I want to do fitness for the rest of my life or for 5 years per se? Then that really explains what is this venture that I'm getting started into aligned with my core values or my vision or my journey as an individual. So those are some of the things that you ask yourself. If you feel like you're not going to be willing to go through this whole process of waiting for a client, getting a job, getting it done actually, then giving the output, then you wish you maybe change the whole venture in itself, because what sustains you in the long run is actually your passion to serve and your passion to offer value to your customers or your clients. So the next thing is getting started, because you've thought of something has come to your head, and you feel like you're going to be the best person to offer a solution to that. Then you need to learn as much as you can, because so many people will question what you do. So many people will come with theories and concepts. We're living in a patriarchal society. You'll find men who will want to just play around with you to see how much you know about that industry. This also applies to those who are also in employment. If you're getting started in employment and maybe you've gotten a good opportunity and you're hoping that this would be it for you, so you can maybe climb the ranks or just get started with that and go ahead and do it even 5 years later, you'll find people who will really question. There's certain comments like, uh, this thing is not so valuable in the market, or this one is not a value career, such things. So these are some of the things that are meant to test your resolve and see if you're really in the game, or you're just there for the sake of being there. And being a beginner, you get that a lot. So you have to learn your craft from inside out. Even if you're not in management, or even if you're not in leadership, there is need to know what you do and actually be curious enough to ask questions and find out how the direction you're going, because you are in an industry. You may wish to go a different direction. Like for public relations, I'd say there is crisis management, there is government relations. But why would I decide to go for the corporate or business space if not these other ones? Yes, I know how these other ones work, but you end up narrowing down further, and still, as you proceed, you end up choosing a more particular or more specific route as you go along. So the next question is, do I want to go down this road alone? So it's going to be very difficult to get started even as an intern, because as an intern or just a founder, because you're the only one you've just been plunged into a new ocean, and there's so much, and people really don't care about you. It's like you've become a first year, or a mono in secondary. So people don't really care so much about you. You don't have so much to offer. That's what they think. So it's going to be a very lonely journey. And then another point to add on that is, do I want to go down this road alone? Is also to think of, if I have developed this product or service or whatever I want to give to the world, is it okay for me to just go all by myself and do it, or can I join an existing organization that does the same thing? Because at the end of the day, that's why I'm not that kind of a person who tells people to leave their jobs and just do business entirely, because the essence of it is to serve people, and the essence of it is to live your purpose. So if your purpose can be achieved while you work alongside an organization or a company, then that is all good. So one thing that I picked out while I was still throughout this year, one thing I picked out is, while I was doing my internship, and also while I was getting started in the in employment, it didn't hit me that this was just free training being offered to me, and I get paid to be trained. So that was a perspective that I didn't really pick out until later on, when I had already started my business. And while I was listening to some of the uh, people that I follow, one person just mentioned that, employment is also another opportunity for you to learn, because it gives you an opportunity to look around and see how things are happening, look at operations, look at legal, look at logistics, look at how everything is working, so that you try to understand how an organization really functions. Then later on, you can easily navigate through. It's not going to give you everything, but at least it will give you some hint of what to expect. So the next thing it is, what does the process to making a sale look like? You have identified a product, you have identified an audience. Now you're asking yourself, how can I get started with the first client? How can I get started? Where will I get my first client? So that is something you need to think about, because if you are going to serve people who are, say, in Mombasa at the docks, and you are, say, in Bomet, I don't know how viable it will be. So these are some of the questions that you ask yourself. Do I need to move? And I'm just going to give a very a very detached example in that. Elon Musk, I like Elon Musk for so many reasons. One of them being that he's almost going to be the first human to hit the trillionaire mark. So he had to move from South Africa to Canada because he realized he had a passion for tech and computers, and knowing that there's not so much he would do in South Africa then, that pushed him to want to move to Canada to explore his passions and interests, and also to explore better opportunities. So it's just a matter of asking yourself, how viable is my vision? How viable is my purpose or my dream? How viable is my career at the point that I'm in? Then what do I have to get started? So that is very important, because when you look at initially, when I used to look at the kind of things, the kind of resources that I had getting started, I would always say I don't stand a chance. I don't stand a chance to get a project. I don't stand a chance to get, say, the best employment. I would really question so many things. But sometimes you need to realize that uh, up until where you are at the moment is as a result of the belief systems that we've created for ourselves. So it's just important that we now create another reality for the future. So for me, the biggest problem I had was getting a camera, because I thought I was going to be a camera person and I was going to shoot a lot of content and all that. Then I told myself, let's just be realistic. Even in school, we had like 5 cameras. So getting access to that was, you had to know someone. So for me, I thought to myself, but I have my laptop. What can I do with my laptop? I said I can do writing. I can polish up my writing skills. I can polish up my speaking skills. I can try as much as I can with that and see where it takes me. So that's the first thing that I started doing. I started doing a lot of writing, and in addition to just learning how the other things work. Then that could be different for you. Then even in employment, the best thing about employment is that you don't really have to worry about what you have, but you need to just know that you have a laptop. Then you can apply for positions, you can apply for jobs here and there, and continue to accentuate any activity that you've ever done. Like, just be the LinkedIn person who makes any small opportunity looks like a very huge, impact in your CV. So yeah, that is what do I have to like what do I have in my hand. So who is my primary target? That, I think, we're going to look at it in the business space. You really need to narrow down initially, actually, because I told you people I started my internship in a very big establishment. So I thought in my mind that these my services are going to be offered. Yes, I know. I it hit me that I couldn't serve corporate clients at the start, because I didn't have the capacity to serve corporate clients. But then I asked myself, then if I can go ahead and serve, say, business people, that would be a bit closer to what I can have the capacity to do at an individual level. Then it also, uh, later on, as I was doing my practice, it hit me that I there are certain things that I would not recommend for a small business. Much as I know how that small business should look like eventually, there's no point of telling a small business with a small budget to do certain things, and yet they're at a place where they're either actively seeking clients or they're at a point where they're almost reaching a point of scale. So there are certain offers that were in my packages that I couldn't give to small clients. So that's how I was able to sharpen the focus to now look at my actual who is really my target audience. So then that meant I really needed to peel off until I get the actual person who can afford my services, at the same time who can actually benefit from what I offer, and also not compromise so much on my side. So, how much does it cost to produce? So, this is also important in terms of product and in also in service, in the service perspective. How much time will it take me to do something? This is very important. I kind of ignored this at the start, but it thereafter I saw the need of it because I'm in the service space, not so much products. And when you're doing service, you almost feel like you don't have you don't need a starting capital. So you feel like you're just free as a bird, you can do as much as you can and go back home. But then you realize, with time, you come to notice that your time, like time, is your most valuable possession other than money, because if you find yourself servicing one client the whole day, you don't have time to service other clients. And that means you will not make as much money as you wished to do. So that then goes back to looking at how much time will you spend on each client and how much you're going to charge them. So that is the rationale there. So yeah, so that is, we've looked at finding your product or service. Maybe if I could just go back a bit, when you look at those who are in employment, I think the most obvious or basic would be finding the kind of organizations that you'd wish to work for. The same happens for business people. Is the same thing that happens to business people, where you'd wish you served anyone, is the same thing that I believe would happen to someone who's looking for employment, or who is in employment and wants to move to another company. You'd wish to. There's a time you get so desperate, and then you just want to work for any organization. That's also the same for business. You just want to work for any organization. So the pain point of that is that you end up losing your vision, or you end up losing your focus. When we're talking about people within 20 to 30 years, at least you have some time. Like right now, if I'm still doing business and I feel like, oh, there's the partnership that I mentioned, that I can actually partner with someone else and scale my impact, there's no point of me holding back into joining this organization and saying, let's partner and let's work together. But up until now, I think we're good. We can still proceed. Now, let's look at the second topic. The second topic is your sales funnel. So, for me, I'd really encourage all of us to get into business, even if it's small scale, even if it's doing it on the side, because this value that you get so much from just running your own business or running your own enterprise, you gain personal development, and you also gain money. So I'd encourage all of you to just get started on a side idea that you have, considering that the age group is quite the right age to just try out things. Then, when it comes to your sales funnel, it's just about looking at how do I get my first client. So the thing about selling is you really have to be confident. You have to be confident in what you're selling. Initially, I mentioned that you can get training from the institution or organization you're currently working at. So there is where you train yourself on how to speak with people or how to engage with people. Practice there, practice and see how the marketing department works. See what makes a good marketing person, then that will give you confidence. There, while you're still working, you can also learn how to speak in public and learn how to express yourself in a more articulate and confident and credible way. Then the second aspect of sales is caring. You really need to care about your audience, because the one thing that I wouldn't encourage is don't get into any employment or any opportunity that gets you to compromise who you are. Initially, I got started working at an organization that, okay, there was the money, but was it something that I would post on my status? No. So that means I wouldn't want people to know I'm working there. So that was not, for me, you've known me to do a lot of course content and trainings. Those are things that I'm passionate about generally. But now this other one was on a completely different thing that I don't want to mention a lot about it here, because I also learned so much from that particular company. But it just goes to say, sometimes you don't give your best at a job or at a role because it does not resonate with you. You don't like it, you don't want people to know about it. So if you're selling something that, or you're in an organization that you're not really proud of, there's not so much you can do about the audience of that organization, let alone sell something to that public. Then speed. So about speed, initially I would think that, because I'm having my own business, I can run the way I want it. I can wake up at noon and still get things done. But it hit me real quick that with the speed at which I move determines the amount of money I get at the end of the month. So sales or making sales really goes with being someone who's very who cares about your time really, and who knows that the level at which you move will determine the amount of money in your bank account at the end of the day. So don't dally with a client, don't dally with a hot lead. Don't If someone says I'm interested or gives you a hint of interest, go with it, run with it. Don't even give them a second to breathe, because that's when you lose them. Then there are only 5 ways of getting clients. So if you decide to open a shop, there is where you can get clients who just see you from, outright. Then we have cold calls or emails. Those are some of the things that I've done. And actually they work, because I've gotten also some clients from cold calls. Then creating content, paid or organic. Creating content online, that is on social media, or paying some amount to have your content visible. That's also another way of getting clients. Then referrals, that is, you serve the first client and they refer the second one. You serve the next one, they refer the next one. And then finally, partnerships. My phone is really buzzing today. Finally, partnerships, where you decide to work with other established organizations, or you get subcontracted to do some of the things by other organizations. So, from your first sale, you will proceed to get more clients. So, this is the first round is how to get the first client. The second bit is how to increase revenue. So, okay, so I'm getting a call. Let me just for a second there. So the second part is how to increase your revenue. So you've already known these are the only surest. There's no other way, unless I've missed out on the ways of getting your clients, either through walk-ins, cold calls, creating content, referrals, and partnerships. So the thing is, you have to post content everywhere, because you don't know where the client will come. It could be a referral. It could be you served a client at the first time, and after you started posting content, they remembered you, and they even got a friend who was asking about your service or your product, and they reach out to you. So that's the thing. And then that's also the goodness with prayer. Now you have to pray so hard because you don't know where exactly the next client is going to come from. So the second bit is how to increase your revenue from just getting the first round of clients. And that could be you need to get more clients. So this the need for getting more clients through the first steps that I've mentioned. And then you may choose to increase your costs, you increase your services. Maybe you realize you're taking too much of your time creating your product or your content or doing your service. Then you feel this need to add to increase some amount. Then you may choose to increase the costs or increase the number of transactions. So increasing the number of transactions means, say you're selling bags and you're also having a line of, say, perfumes. So you can choose to introduce a perfume to your existing customer so that they can proceed to just not make one transaction, or you can choose to add a complement to the existing product so that they get to buy more from you. And that's how you increase your revenue, through the number of transactions you do per client. I think that is well explained. Then how to sell. So we've looked at this was going to be the last topic, but I just decided to merge them because they kind of go hand in hand. So how do you sell your product, or how do you sell your service? So as a business owner, you're a salesperson automatically. So the way you sell yourself personally is the same way business people sell themselves. You don't want to miss on any opportunity of selling yourself. So that is how you become a salesperson. Rule of thumb is be quick to getting a no in your interactions. So same applies to getting a job. If I'm applying I'm looking for a job and I'm actively looking for a job, I would send almost 100 applications per day, or I'd send a lot of applications. But if I am looking for clients, that means I have to talk to almost 100 of these clients. But the thing is, sometimes when I get a no, there's a time I got a no from the first call that I made, and that really actually ruined my day. And the whole day I ended up slacking because I was really touched, or I was not touched, I was affected by that no. So I didn't realize that speed. I had not known then that speed is very important when it comes to selling. And also, you want to get as much no, like as many no as you can get, so that you can get to the yes. So initially I would convince someone, I would talk to them about it, I would tell them all about my products, the features, how it's going to benefit them. Then it hit me, the amount of hours I spend on one client, I would have spent on 50 others, and I would have finished getting a no. And within the 50 that I've spoken with, at least I would have gotten two or three. So that's when I learned getting a no is very important. You want to get as much no as you can so that you can get closer to getting a yes. The first no you get, you understand, you try to evaluate and see, what did I say or what did I do that triggered them to say no. Then you continue to proceed. I mean, to you work on building or improving your sales strategy as you call the rest. But if you dwell on the one no that you get, even in employment, I don't think you can go so far, or you might not get the actual best deal. So just getting a no is something that you'll get used to. So for every claim, for this I meant when you're talking directly with your client, the first claim you say, maybe you say this is the best, or if you're selling something that is very technical and you'd wish to tell them about something that is a fact, you have to present data to show that you're credible, because we are living in a world where consumers are no longer very naive, and they have options, and they can get access to so much out here. So nowadays, sometimes clients come to you when they already have all the information they need. So they're just there to look at how much trustworthy you can be, or to see if you really know what you're doing or what you're selling. So you need to have data for your organization, and have data for like the actual what is really happening in the world. So you can't just come and tell someone, AI is being used by all managers. To top it up, you can go ahead and say about maybe statistics show that, according to this, borrow authority, say from Forbes research, or a research done by a different organization to help you boost the content you're saying. That goes to speaking, making presentations, and also selling. Then for every feature, present a benefit. Don't dwell too much on how you created your product or how you're going to serve them. Focus on how they're going to benefit from you. So that is focus on the benefits. Tell them how they're going to benefit from it, and this varies from one person to another, considering that value varies from one person to another. Then, for every doubt, because you'll always be doubted, especially if you're getting started, present a testimonial. Present a testimonial, say it could be pictures. Let me tell you, it's not so hard to sell because as long as you have pictures, that you're good to go. As long as you have a review, you're good to go. Start collecting reviews, start collecting testimonials, start collecting recommendations for those who are looking for jobs. The best testimonial for job seekers is recommendations, and let it hold water, let it not look so generic. And then understand what success means to your prospect and what is hindering them from getting there. Don't be quick to sell a solution. Be quick to listen, but don't be quick to sell a solution. People have different definitions of what success looks like, and not just that, how they can get there. So there are those people who want your service, but they want to have their own way, to get it their own way. So sometimes that you may be required to compromise. So eventually you notice that someone wants to have their transformation their own way. That is you don't have to agree with them because they're going to be a very difficult client, but you can choose to either drop or clarify the scope at which you operate. And then our motivations are very different from person to person. So you find that there are those who want to elevate their status through your product. There are those who want to save on costs through your product, and there are those who want to uh, get more money through your product. So you need to understand what motivates them to want to come on board. So you cannot sell smokies, or you cannot sell sausages to Muslims thinking that maybe they just not tasted it to know how good it is. You'd be hitting yourself on the foot because you have not looked into what these people are motivated by or who these people are in terms of culture. So you need to understand whether they tell you or they don't tell you. The best way to know what motivates someone is just by listening to them. When you listen to them and see what they emphasize as pain, that's where you hit, because that's where you know what really is causing them to want to buy. Then some of the no's would mean that they are not ready to agree. So maybe they don't like you at the start, but they want the service. So these are people you just go slow with them. And then you are making me feel uncomfortable. Maybe you're talking about maybe if you're selling contraceptives or such products, and you find there are those who don't really like to talk about such things in public. So there's a way that you have to act. If they want it confined, then you confine the whole conversation. Then I do not understand means they may be people who want to make the first purchase of something. Say they want to buy their first car, they want to buy their first whatever house or anything. So they might not have enough information, but at the same time, they know that you want to sell to them. So if you can't find a way of understanding that this is a first time buyer, you might give them too complex information and they just wanted the basics so that you can build trust first as you proceed. And then I don't think I can afford it. This is so common, especially if you're selling a high ticket product. But there's a way to navigate it because money is always there, money always flows. So if someone tells you they can't afford it, it goes back to the value. Have you really explained what they gain from doing business with you? If you can explain the value so well, the price will not be there. And if the price persists, you can choose to go with the installment route, where they can get started with little by little as they wait to get the actual product. Then I want something else. I want something else means maybe you're showing someone a different, you've assumed in your mind because you don't want to listen, you've assumed that this is exactly what they want. Yet, if you had just listened and just given it some time, they would really pinpoint exactly what they want. And it could not be that, but they could benefit from something else that you sell. Then I need more information. That is very common, but don't let them go find information on their own. Give them that information. Get that doubt out of them, because that is still doubt. And then I want to talk it over with someone else. That could be a spouse or so. This is a funny story today. Today there's someone out of the clients that I serve. There's someone who made a payment today, and after some time, I asked them, for record purposes, you need to at least share with me the receipt or the payment message. And they were so skeptical, and they was like, oh, is something wrong? Because that is a high value or high ticket product. So, when someone has been darling, just going around, you let them be, they still come back, they want to make a purchase, but they still scared a bit. So when they finally decided to make the first purchase, they wanted the next thing to be, what next? That would be their perception of what happens after I make a payment. But then now you come and start asking them about the legitimacy of their payment, and the one thing that the person said was, now you're going to, my spouse will think that I was conned. And when I heard that, I smiled, because that just goes to say the value that sometimes people put on, their significant other or their friends. When you make a purchase, it's not just a purchase for yourself, it's also a purchase for the entire family. So you don't want to mess it up. So sometimes someone does not want to buy from you because they're not so sure, and because they know if they get conned, the spouse will be like, and I told you, and all that. So you have to really look at all those perspectives and actually ask them if you feel like, is it support that you want from your spouse, or is it permission that you want from your spouse? So you really need to understand where the customer is coming from. I think that we're done with that part. Then let's look at leadership and culture. When it comes to running a business, your business is as good as how well you are in leading yourself, in the sense that all your insecurities, all your bad habits will come to play. The same, I believe people say marriage does the same for people. But for me, as someone who does a business, that is very true, because there's a video that has been circulating, and I wish I'd share with you at this point. But if I'm not able, maybe I will put it up later on, or I'll share it with you for those who want to see it. But this lady was actually talking about how personal development plays a very key role in the success of your business. And your business is a reflection of how much personal development you've done personally. So the fastest way to self development is by starting a business, because you will have every single day presenting a new problem. It's not meant to make you lose focus or feel like it's not meant for you, because most of us women are emotional beings, and we really like to go with how what our emotions tells us. But when you start a business, you realize you cannot go far, or you can't even get through a year when you base your decisions on emotions, because you'll be tested almost all the time. So it will just look at how much self development, how much inner work, that is what is called nowadays. How much inner work have you done for yourself? How much confident are you, and how valuable do you look at yourself? Like, despite every other thing, do you feel like you're valuable, or do you feel like you offer value to the world? Then how much time do you have time management issues? Do you have people's issues? Do you have all these things will be brought out to play? So within the first year, I'd say everything bad that happens in business has happened to me, because I think there are certain things, you much as you want to learn everything, you'll just there are certain things that you'll have to experience in person to be strong, and to be to you know to be more convicted that this is exactly what you want to do. So for me, there's usually that notion that, if I do something, I do it to the best of my abilities, and there's nothing that can stop me. But then when it comes to business, you find that you have to work with people. You have to partner with people sometimes, and that that whatever this other person does is completely out of your control, and that will now test on your people's skills, and that will also test on how much resilient you can be when it comes to bouncing back. So in business, you'll be lied to, you'll be promised heaven by clients who will not deliver, you'll be stolen from, people will take your money knowingly and sometimes even unknowingly, but they will take your money. And also in business, people will waste your time. So the thing is, the way I display myself as a go-getter, and I know most of you display yourselves as go-getters, there are those people who pray, especially men, who pray for people who are really just go-getters and they really know where to get you. So there was this one person even who went further to he called me, told me to come over this deal that he wants us to work on, and to work with him. So I've been very happy. Sometimes you, before you even get on to the bus or to an Uber, you've already prayed like 50 prayers and told God how thankful you are that your dreams have been answered, and now you have a client, only to get there and to get a phony. So this guy called me. He even bought. He made sure he has worked his cards or played his cards very well. He had even printed something. He bought the food that we were having and everything, just to set the stage. And now you're like, oh. And even the place that we met was also very good. So you wouldn't really think that this person was a phony or was trying to just play around with you. So the guy told me that this was a government, a county project, and he was given that project to run. So that is a business person. And you'll encounter so many business people, and one thing that I maybe need to emphasize on is, when it's business people would not mind having anything for free. So sometimes that's why I usually say, if you feel like something is not aligned with your purpose or your vision, either in employment or either in business, you don't even get into it, because sometimes people can really just give you exactly what you want to hear, just so they can get to have you do something and then abandon you later. So this person gave me this project and told me this is what we're going to do. We even calculated the profits. And I felt like this is finally it. Finally, I'm going to have my first car, and finally I'm going to open an office in Nairobi. And he told me you don't even have to go to those mashinani places. You can work from Nairobi. You'll just be taking a flight and going there from time to time. And then after that, we spoke, we laughed, we did all these things, and then he was like, "Okay, now we can go." So the first thing, maybe he was assuming that because the deal is already sealed, then now we can go and do other things, like let's go have fun and all that. And I was like, "Okay, that's so great. I think." Thank you so much for that opportunity. You'll just let me know once you get feedback, because the only thing that was left was approvals from the county government. So for me, just told him, okay, once you get the approval, let me know. And I disappeared, went back to the house. And the guy went quiet. The guy has gone quiet until today. So the thing is, this guy just wanted, because he knew this is exactly what I want. So that's the problem with putting yourself out there also. When you put yourself out there, people know you are seeking something. So you need to also differentiate those who will use that to manipulate you, take advantage of you, and those who really are looking for a business deal. So that really taught me that, okay, if I were to trust that person, because he was even a friend initially, he's still a friend, then why would I have to compromise myself just to get that deal, which never really happened. It has not happened up until now. Then you'll be forced to, so let's look at leadership. Choosing to run your own venture means you will always put yourself last. So that goes to your employees or people that who will be working with you. That goes to your systems you want to put up. The lots of sacrifice that goes to buying the right products or the right systems that work. Then you'll be forced to learn more every single day. So every single day is a good day to present to you a new challenge that you have to learn from and you have to navigate. Then you'll be forced to make decisions, tough decisions every day and carry the consequences. So there are times that I've mentioned I worked with someone and someone decided to disappear with my money, and this is our friend. I would have decided and said, because you're my friend, I think I'll just take it easy and all that. But business does not even recognize family. So the thing is, with that, I decided to take the legal route, which I don't also recommend 100%, but just to scare them and to see if they can actually come clean and say what's going on. So you have to make tough decisions. And I even told the person that, yes, you're my friend and all that, but when it comes to business, I don't look at I don't compromise certain things because this was really affecting my client directly. And so I had to step up. Then to attract the right kind of people around you, you will have to become that person. So this notion. Before I got started, I told someone I can't start because I do not have connections. I even told them, do you know all these events, big events that we are doing is as a result of my boss knowing so many people, knowing who and who is who, knowing the cream de la cream of the society. So I kept on saying that, I can't start because I don't have that connection. And up until now, I'd say I've participated in very huge events that did not require me to know people. But it's okay. I had friends who referred me to get started on such big projects. But the thing is, I positioned myself as that person who can actually do such big projects or who can actually manage such big events. Then so you are the connection. The more you learn, the more you put yourself out there, the more you put value out there to people, is when people will see that I can actually work with this person and this person can even deliver what they're saying. Then before you delegate, you must know. So the thing about leadership or being an owner is that you want to save up on your time. You realize there's so much that needs your attention, but then you don't always have the whole day. So the thing is, you now know the value of your time, but you want to get someone to do something in your business without really ever knowing how it is done. That is detrimental, first of all, because you'll get to hire people who will become busybodies and just at the end of the month, employees will expect you give them their full amount. And if you want to tell them you didn't do anything, they will tell you, I didn't come here and I did and refused to do something. It's only that there wasn't work. So you really need to know something. So if I have done cold calls, I can easily get someone to do my cold calls and even give them a script or teach them how to do it and get them started because I already have that knowledge. Then I can pass it down to them and even give KPIs and targets because that I already know how to do it. If it's writing articles, if it's doing any other thing, there are certain things you may not know. Say, let's look at the legal perspective, but you also need to understand why are you bringing this legal person on board and what is the main thing that they need to achieve at the end of the day or at the end of every quarter. So that just goes to say, if you don't know what you're doing and you delegate, people will give you a lot of lies and or falsehoods and things that do not exist because they also know you don't know. So, and that is your money you're spending on them. Then, to build a winning culture, you must embody it in your words and actions. So there's one time that a lady once mentioned to me, a business owner once mentioned to me and said, I wish my team would come earlier, but they always come very late and they slow the whole process down. So the thing, I just, because I'm not always very quick to give solutions or comments because you have not even paid me to give you the solution. So I just kept quiet and laughed. But in the back of my mind, I knew if you wanted your employees to come early, you have to come early. You come at 10 a.m. and you expect employees to come at 8, that's not going to happen. So you have to come early. And if you're expecting them to work late, still going back to Elon Musk's story, there's a time he had to stay with his employees late because, and he even said he had the option of going to do every other thing that he'd do. He had the option of going to a vacation because he has already taught people, or he knows he's good at delegation and all those things. He's not even struggling with that. There are already systems in place. They have already written things down, employee manuals that people know what to do. But he still stayed up late with his employees because he wanted to show that yes, I have a million things to do, but this is also important. Much as you're going to get overtime, I'd wish that you see that this is also important. This is what the team picks up. So whatever you say, whatever you do, that's exactly what's going to be replicated. Then lead with courage and heart. So initially, I would be like, okay, it has to be my way or the highway, but came to realize when it comes to teamwork, sometimes you may not have all the answers, you may not have all the solutions. And when you've empowered your team enough to know that their work and their impact is valuable, then they can also share in the company's problems or in the company's struggles or the business struggles because their vision is aligned and they see that you're also part of, you're a team player yourself. I hope that I've covered. So finally, we're going to look at building a community. When it comes to building a community, co-creation is innovation at its best. So you might want to improve your product or service with over time, but if you don't speak to the actual people who benefit from your service or product, it's going to be so hard. So in this time and age, day and age, we really focus on working with data. Yes, you may have all this intuition and all that, and intuition may work or may have worked the first time, but it's also good to focus on building a database that helps you to make decisions because the one thing I've learned is that business requires that you get over yourself. You get over yourself in terms of thinking you have all the answers. Sometimes you do not have. Sometimes it's the people that you serve who know how best you can offer value to them. So this is what a community does for you. And building a community basically means having a place where you can interact with your audience. It could be on media. So starting out, you may not have really a structured, or you may not have as much data, but I'm telling you, you'll have something. Then engage with your people consistently and respectfully. So once you know that this is where they hang out, or once you have a community, it could be a group, it could be on social media, you look at what are the posts that are really going viral without, okay, there's the thing of trying to build viral content, all in the name of making viral content so that you don't even focus on your values and your business goals and your vision, and that thing kind of goes viral. That is a misleading content because you were creating it solely because you wanted it to go viral. But if you create it on the basis of looking at the vision and also creating it on the basis of value to your community and it goes viral, then that means that is something that you need to consider. That is feedback that cannot be overlooked. Then with a community, you get to keep your customers. So that is a place that you can always tap new clients every single day because they will refer their friends, they'll get their family members to join, they'll get every other person to look at what you do, and those will be converted to customers. So, and through that, you'll get to innovate. You cannot innovate something in a vacuum. You will always innovate as a result of seeing the needs of your customers or your clients. Then it's also a source of clients or also a source of employees. So, for those who say you'd wish to work for Microsoft and you've never even looked at you've never even followed the Microsoft page, sometimes you may not really. Then, when you get an interview, is when you will start fumbling and thinking of how then should you approach this interview process, because when you're being interviewed, someone is looking at your likability and also how composed you are and also your skill. But if you have that extra, passion about an organization or a company, then that goes a long way to consider you as an employee, or to for clients. They can also from the community, they can learn so much from what you offer them, then that eventually leads to growth. Yes, so at this time I think we have one of our audience who is really, I may not really talk so much about community if I don't let her give us some of her personal insights in how to building a community. Jessica, are you still here?
Yes, yes, I mean,
Okay, so Jessica is a good example of someone who has built a good community over time. And I usually say she's naturally gifted when it comes to attracting an audience or attracting people to her content. So maybe I can give her an opportunity to say something about building a community and the benefits of in general.
thank you so much, Diana, for the introduction. I believe it's very nice to hear that, especially from a professional like you. Um, First of all, let me just introduce myself. My name is Jessica Damar. I am a lawyer. It feels good to say that because I'm just recently graduated, so I'm really excited. I'm also a professional mediator and an intern at one of the big law firms in Kenya. Um, Basically, I would like to thank, first of all, DPR agency and what a DPR agency does, because it really enlightened me in terms of how to even build a community in that sense. You have seen the platter. How do you call it, Diana? I can call it a platter because it's like a plate full of good brands that you have worked with before. And I can attest that I have worked with DPR agency before, when I was serving as the president of the Law Student Society of Kenya and the Law Student Society of Kenya. And with DPR agency, we were able to build a website that was able to build the brand for the society in itself. So having that platform in itself created a platform whereby we can be able to interact and build a brand for the Law Student Society of Kenya as we were building a brand for ourselves. So thank you. I don't know if I've gotten the chance to say this. I believe I have.
Yes.
But thank you, DPR agency and Diana, for all that help. Um, to the question that you've posed to me, I believe brand engagement, or like not even brand engagement, engaging with your audience, building a platform, building a place, a community of people who just have similar views, similar opinions, is quite a daunting task. However, I believe it's easy in as much as it's hard. One key aspect I'd like to highlight that just helps in terms of brand building and building a community, that is just a minute. Sorry about that. So I was saying that one key aspect that you have to look into while building a community is ensuring that you deliver authentic value to these people. Because one thing about building a community is building trust within that community and building value, because as it stands in this current age, everybody is looking out for themselves. They're looking out to benefit either professionally in their growth and personally. So, what are you offering these people? Sometimes it could be entertainment as well, if you're into that space. Of course, there's a blend of everything. At the end of the day, you could build a community that is not only focused on their personal development, but even people who just like you for being you, because you're not that serious. You don't take life too seriously here, in as much as you try to like focus on one key agenda. So yeah, I believe I have been all over the place with my answers, but we are in the right hands with the PR agency here, and to continue being part of this community ourselves, so that we can grow together in this space in our communities. And yeah, I that's all I have for now. Probably, unless you had a specific question that you wanted to ask me.
Now you 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 may have missed to mention the figures we're talking about here, and how the figures, first of all, and the impact it has, say, on your personal brand. You get people who just stop you and say, "Oh, I've seen you on LinkedIn," "Oh, I've seen you here," and that the impact in itself.
Okay, thank you. Well, on my LinkedIn, I have over 1,200 followers. On Instagram, I have 7,000 followers. And on TikTok, I have engagement, Professor. Well, just to, okay, I also have a platform on YouTube, which I love, and I have 813 subscribers. And as you just mentioned, there are times whereby people will stop me and ask me, "Are you Jessica Damar?" Because they have already seen me in my platforms and they've interacted with my content. So I believe it's a very nice thing to have yourself out there, to put yourself out there for you to be perceived, for people to learn from you, and for you to also learn from other people while you engage on these social platforms. But I can't fail to mention the fact that it's also important to also have partnerships, because with the light that I got out of my social media engagement, I also got eyes on me. So it opened us up to partnerships with like Speak Up Africa, with Lo and Behold, whereby you get reposted on their social media platforms, Kenya Model of United Nations, and all that. So that widens the scope of the eyes that you have on you. And I can just say some opportunities come because of that. First of all, I'm a lawyer, but been reached out to in various capacities to serve as a social media manager, to give tips on social media management. And yeah, in my capacity as a social media influencer, I've also been reached out to do brand deals, to do brand partnerships. And then you find it easy as well to establish yourself, because I recently started my business. It's called Bold Lady Essentials. It's on Instagram, and we're planning to open a physical store soon. So you get an easy time to even sell your products to people, because you've already built this trust within your community. People know you for what you do. People know that if I give her money, she has something to lose, because she has publicity. People know her for standing for a particular cause. So there's some sort of trust in essence, and there's also value that they get even after buying your products, because it's like they are interacting with you in some ways. One of my clients was saying that she bought something from me so that she can feel like she has me with her. So it gives you some sort of connection with your people, and it also puts you out there for opportunities. Yeah. And I can say that the one thing that I have loved most about social media is the opportunities it can bring to you, and also the people you get to meet, the people you get to engage with, the different lessons you get to learn from different people. And yes, so I can't just wait to see how it gets, because I'm still a budding social media influencer, if that's something people are these days. But I can't just wait to see how good it gets, and especially if we hone in and we learn through this platform that you have created. I can't just wait to see how good it gets. Yeah.
Before I let you settle, does the pressure increase or decrease as you go?
it increases. The pressure increases because we have set big goals for 2025. I believe every one of us is looking at their journals and seeing what they're going to do better and seeing what they're going to improve on. So one thing that I've placed there is really honing into building a community in different areas of my life, because I believe we as human beings, we have that capability to be multifaceted, because apart from having even the business, I also have a whole non-governmental organization, NGO. So with that, there's also an audience for that, so like getting this knowledge that you're going to be giving to us for free, I mean, it's a dream come true. And I believe we should be ambassadors of this project that has been started by DPR, so that we can get a lot more women on board, and they can be able to learn from what DPR agency has to offer through this project. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Maybe you should have emphasized that I did not pay you to say all those good words.
Yeah. Your organization should precede you at this point. You have done a really amazing job with a lot of the people you've worked with. So I just can't emphasize the value that you have given some of us at very good rates as well, and at quality delivery, Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Jessica. I just thought I should let you give your, real life examples, because that's also an area that I would wish I would do more of it. That's why I even put this program today. And, for me, I believe in my own perspective that I'm my own leader. I don't wait for an audience. I create the platform. So if from Seth Godin's words, the father of strategy or the father of marketing, I would call him, who would say, the best strategy is permission marketing, where you allow people to come on board and don't force them to actually come. So through such platforms, I'm hoping that I can also work on building my community. But I feel like Jessica is a good example to show how a community can really impact your work, and also to show that it's even possible to build a community right from the scratch, and just as a young person, and work on just putting content daily, consistently. Whoever wants to come on board, let them join. And like she said, there's someone who will just join because it's you, it's Camilla, it's Jessica, it's Sarah, it's Diana. So they'll just join because it's you. So that's the value of building a community. So yeah, so we've come to the end of today's presentation and today's session. So I think we can get into the Q&A session. I think I may have created that slide, but it's not showing at the moment. So these are some of the struggles that you go through as a female founder. You're trying to just have all the technical knowledge and everything, but yes. So this is time for Q&A, time for questions, time for comments, time to interact. Just because we are very few, I was hoping we get to 10. I think that those who were not able to join at this time, but don't worry, because this content is recorded, so they will still get a chance to interact with the content even after. But for those who are here, let me hear from you. What would you say? Any comment, any questions, any feedback from what we've had today? Or should I call people one by one? Sarah, do you have any comment or any questions? I know we've interacted outside this platform, but I just wanted to see if you have any contribution or comments or questions regarding today's session, and if it has really helped you in one way or another.
Thank you very much. I won't say much because I'm trying to put my little girl to bed. But I've really enjoyed the session, and I have actually learned a lot. I didn't know that culture and leadership actually go hand in hand. I thought organizations and culture go hand in hand because, according to the human resource management, organizations have cultures where people follow. But then it never came to my imagination that leaders should also have culture. So, as a leader, I actually do have a very terrible culture in terms of time. I know you have, I know when we interacted back then, you actually captured a few flaws of mine. And from what I've learned today, I think 2025, you're going to make new resolutions as leaders, and I hope things will get better from today. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Maybe while I was mentioning that, you may have felt like, oh, this person is now touching on me directly. Just to make it clear, personally, while we were working together, that was not so much because I think you were always there when you were needed to be there. So I don't think you have that in particular. So there was just another one who a very good friend of mine that I was hoping she even wanted to come and join us. Maybe she has had other engagements, so she couldn't make it. But we ended up laughing about it later on because now we ended up talking as founders one by one and just laughing about things and stuff. So I know you are from the human resource department, and that is a very crucial area and a very important area in organizations. And maybe you can attest to the fact that sometimes you can write everything. Part of being a PR person is working closely with the HR and management when it comes to implementing certain things in terms of internal communication and also external communication. So you find that we can put up posters all over the place and say, do this. But if leaders don't come forward and support these initiatives or support these cultures, then it really doesn't hold or grow, just have roots in the organization. So that's why you find sometimes when we say we're going to have world, maybe utamaduni, we will participate in an utamaduni day celebration, and a leader does not go or abide by that or never shows up. That really doesn't trickle down to those fanatics, the fans, the staff who will always just jump on board because they're vibes. But as long as leadership or the management does not take the first initiative to work on realizing that, because you find people always just go to events or go to things because they know that those leaders who are decision makers who are in these sessions and they want to interact with them. So if leaders don't do the first thing or don't make them first move, then it's very hard to trickle it down to the employees. And also, when it comes to vision is translated through the leader. The leader should be someone who translates a vision all through all the time so that everyone can know what their little contribution, how it plays out to the final impact or the final growth of the organization. So that is something that culture and leadership really plays a crucial role. I would go on and on about that, but I think that is something we can look into in another session. Yes, I've seen Camilla, you have dropped. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Sylvia. I've seen you dropped. Would you please, if you have a chance, maybe you can just say hi if it's possible. If you're on transit or if you're in a position where you may not speak, you can just let us know in the chat. But I'd really love that you just say hi to us because I know all of us. I know the the potential that each member who joined has when it comes to what you can share with the rest. Camilla, can you hear me? Oh, yeah, okay, okay. So Camilla is on transit, and one thing about that I like about Camilla is that she actually what would I say? Do you know when you decide you want to do something and you actually do it? When you say you are tired, I am fed up of Kenya, I want to move. This is someone who can just create a plan, have a plan, and just move. And that I think is very incredible. And that was just one thing that I wanted also to highlight in today's session is that we are not trees. If we feel like some place or something is not for us, we can easily just decide, I can actually change the situation or I can actually move and start over and just thrive. So yeah, Jessica, do you have any comments or questions?
Not really. I just wanted to thank you for the session and thanking you again for creating this platform. At least now I know a person called Salvia and Camilla. We've interacted before, very many capacities. Yes, be grateful to just be here, and I can't just stress the fact that we enough like the fact that you're supposed to just continue with what you're doing, and I believe this is a very impactful um, initiative that DPR has taken, and I can't just wait to be part of it
All right.
further.
All right. Thank you so much, Jessica, for that. Thank you. Camilla has just dropped something. Looking forward to more sessions from DPR. Thank you. Looking forward to more sessions from DPR. You did a really good job on our website. Surprisingly, so this is a funny story. Almost all of us here I either am currently or have done your website. So this should be some sort of communication on my side to feedback to realize that maybe I should continue doing the web thing. But website was just something that I kind of got interest in and I decided to pursue it. Like, why not? Why not just do something in it? And yeah, it's been good. It has also given me some serious character development in the year, but I'm sure that has actually strengthened my skill in that capacity. So my final my final comment. I really want to thank all of you for just creating time to attend this session. It says a lot. It's really I'm grateful for the time you've afforded me. There were still other individuals who are not able to make it, but I'm sure they will see that they missed so much. This could have had a lot of maybe while you were listening, there would be so many things that maybe I didn't really uh, touch on that you were hoping I would touch on. But I'm apologizing in advance for that. And I'm saying that in the future sessions, we're going to also look into having better sessions, having better content, having just everything better, including even having it physical so that we all meet up, say, in Maldives or we meet up in Johannesburg to just, have fun and just learn from each other. So thank you so much for creating time for this session. I really appreciate all your contributions and all your thoughts and comments in regard to today's topic. Thank you so much, and I think I'd wish to end it here. Let's congratulate each other for making it up until now, at least so that we can let the people who will be watching the recording to see what it was all about. Right, so thank you, and I wish that we set the standard in 2025. Let's remember, I always use Seth Godin's, and unless I find another good, catchy mantra to use, I will still go by Seth Godin's word. We don't wait for platforms, we create our own platforms and we actually create our own realities. So, this is just a testament to what can be. So, I hope that we keep on building each other, encouraging each other. And I'm not a pastor, so I think I should stop there and wish you a lovely evening and a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much. This marks the end of Empower Her 2024. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much, guys. So you're free to leave. I think we'll continue to interact and continue to talk. And let's engage, let's partner.
Yeah!